Good morning. Again, I'm Viji, Assistant Professor in English, Valal College of Education, Erode. Um, Again, with an interesting topic that is types of communication. So far, we discussed what's meant by communication, what are the importance, how we can now make our communication more effective. We have discussed so many things, and now we are in some other interesting thing that is types of communication. Each type have their own way of passing an information from one person to another. And all the types of communication have their own advantages and disadvantages. So the types of communication, it can be classified based on their structure or through their channel or the relationship, whatever it may be. So, based on that, we have four different types of communication, and these communication has been classified based on relationship, organizational structure, direction, and channel. So, let me repeat, the communication can be classified into four. In these four aspects, it has been classified. So, what are the four aspects? One is based on the relationship, we can classify communication. And second one is based on the organizational structure, we can classify, and based on the directions. And the last one is based on the channel. So, these are the four things we can classify the communication. And now we are going to discuss all these classifications one by one. The first thing we people are going to see is how the communication has been classified based on the relationship. So, under this particular topic, we have a short list, that is, we have five different types of communication. The first one is interpersonal, then intrapersonal, transpersonal, group, and mass. Let me repeat it: interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication, transpersonal communication, group communication, and mass communication. So, based on the relationship, the communication can be classified in all these aspects. Let's discuss all these things one by one in detail now. The first one is interpersonal communication. It's nothing but communication between two or more people. If we are communicating with our friend or with our students, we can call it as interpersonal. Communicating with two people or more than two people, that should be called as interpersonal. And intrapersonal, it is a process in which communicate with themselves either consciously or unconsciously. For example, I can say that daydreaming, praying to God, all these things can be called as intrapersonal because we are not communicating with anyone. We are communicating, we are talking to our own. So that should be called as intrapersonal communicating. That is, intrapersonal communication is a process in which people can communicate with themselves. They can talk with their own consciously or unconsciously. That is intrapersonal. For this only I gave two examples, that is praying to God, daydreaming, all those things should be called as intrapersonal. Coming to another one, transpersonal. I hope you might have heard this particular word, transpersonal. It's nothing but talking to the spirits. It may be awkward, but even now, some of us are talking with our ancestors, right? So, talking to the spirits, talking to the ancestors, talking to God. In our society, we can see some people are creating a scene, or it may be true also. They are saying that we people are talking to God directly through some person. God is conveying a message to us, like that. Some people are saying no. So talking to God or talking to spirits or talking to some ancestors, that is who are buried, who are died. Okay, so all those things should be called as transpersonal communication. Okay, and the next one is group communication. If you're having a small group communication, that is, if a teacher is talking with a student, that should be called as interpersonal communication. If a teacher is talking to his students, that is more number of 20 or 30 or 40 more number of students are there, if they are having a small group means, that should communication should be called as group communication. And the next one is mass communication. That is, one person is talking to a mass of people. That is, through media we can reach the through media that message can be reached to a mass, to a large group of people, that is through newspaper, through television, through radio we are communicating, or through social media we are communicating a message to a mass of people, right? So that communication should be called as mass communication. So herewith I'm going to conclude, and before that let me recall one more thing. Communication can be classified into four aspects. The first one is based on the relationship. It can classified into five types, that is interpersonal, intrapersonal, transpersonal, group communication and mass communication. This is what we have discussed today. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening, and in the next video we people are going to discuss the next type of communication. Thank you.